Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we are closer to just 10 hours ahead, 10 hours away from the solstice. So tomorrow we begin a new moment of the year. So for those who are in the northern hemisphere, begins the solstice of summer, and for those who are in the southern hemisphere, begins the solstice of winter. So of course that I will repeat this tomorrow, but because it will be tonight, I wish for all of you to begin and have a really good solstice. So we begin today with our crown chakra in the physical week of Gemini. So let's go to the topic for today. And I remind you that I wrote a lot about this in the post. And I recommend you to read the post every time before this, because sometimes I don't explain. I explain some things thinking that you already know what is written. Okay, so there's much more information there in the blog. So the topic for today is very interesting, and it's ideologies. So as always, let's go to the etymology of the word. Let's take these concepts. Ideology. Ideology comes from the word idea. Idea, which is eido, meaning in Greek to see, which gives the word eideia. Which gives the word eideia. That means the shape of those things that you can observe, the things that you can see. And logi comes from logos, that means word, which is a concept that gives you a knowledge. That would be the word logos. So basically, ideology is the word to describe the knowledge of the observable forms. And this is because an idea is basically many things that we have seen in our life, many of the things that we have watched and perceived in our life, and in our mind we create like kind of a map inside, like a mental map to create a concept that helps us understand many things. So that's an idea. It's the shape of a map inside our mind with many different concepts. So the ideology would be the knowledge that gives that I can take from those mental maps that I have, which are ideas. Okay. So just want to clarify the concept of logos, because I've heard sometimes this concept in the spiritual world using the concept of logos as something that is upon us and controlling us as the creator. So I would like to explain what is logos from this ancient concept, So we can transcend this idea of someone outside controlling the creation. Logos means word. Logos means a concept. Okay, so in how do you say, in the Greek philosophy, they started to call logos to those things that are impossible to measure, those things that are so big, so huge to understand, that they are just concepts, abstract things that you cannot measure, you cannot count. So the divinity, the different suns, the darkness, I don't know, many different kind of ideas that are impossible to measure. So they were called logos. Okay, so that's why we have the divine logos, the darkness logos, all these kind of things. Eventually, in the path of gnosis, which is the knowledge, some people mixed the tradition of the Greek philosophy with the Christian religion. So when it was mixed, logos became a concept of the divine and another way of calling the creator. But it's not like that. It's just a mix of a religion with a philosophy. That's it. It's not that there is someone or something called logos and is controlling the creation. It's just a philosophic concept that was taken by religious people, and they started to call this creature, this being, like that. But it's not. Sorry if I say it like this, in this way, but just to clarify this concept that is historical, and sometimes we make a mistake calling these things like that when it's not. Okay, so the other thing is the word logos comes from gives the word logic, which gives the word logias. I don't know how you say it in English, but logias. I don't know how do you spell it in English. Sorry, but these groups, like the Masons and these kind of things. So there's a word which is logias, or logias. I don't know how you say it in English. That they came these groups, lodges. Okay, I will trust. Thank you. So lodges. So these groups of people were the ones studying the logics. Logics is the concepts, the abstract concepts. So these people were using the different abstract concepts to study. So logists are the group of people that were trying to understand and study and question the reality through logics. Okay, so of course that in the moment where it has begun, religion was on power. So you were not allowed to question the gods. You were not the god. You were not allowed to question anything, because you have to trust God. So that's why they became hermetic groups, and they weren't sharing their own knowledge. So we usually use the words logias as something referred to something wrong, to people that is bad in the world. And it's not. It's like if we are trying to blame an entire university because they have 3 or 4 teachers that are really bad people. And it's not like that. It doesn't. It is not related. The content of the study and the content of the study, the students, other teachers, because 3 or 4 people that were not the good people. Okay, so kind of like this is a lodge, is the lodges is a place where is a group of people that we're studying abstract concepts. Okay, so of course, religion through these 2,000 years, we have received this concept that those kind of groups are bad for us. So that's why we have in our mind that these are the bad people. Okay, it was because of religious tradition that used to say that those things are bad. Okay, so just to clarify these things. So let's go to idea, how an idea is created. So today I gave an example of how to understand the idea, and it was through a bee. Okay. So bee, we have this animal here that the ancient ones used to call through the sound that they do, like bzz, 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 bzz. So because they were using this word bzz, eventually when they started to use different languages, when languages started to evolve, bzz became like abiz, 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 abyss, abyss, api, and so on. So this transformation of the word created the word bee for English and abija for abilla for Spanish. So the sound of the bee created the two words that we have for bee, for example. Okay. Now let's create a mental map through the word bee. Bzz, the word bee. So the word bee, for example, we can relate it with hive. Okay, the hive. I will change it. The hive, and what comes from the hive? We have honey. And who eats honey? A bear, for example. Where is the hive? In a tree. What are in the trees? Flowers. And bees eat the juice of the flowers. Okay. What colors are the bees? So yellow and black. And also we can go to much more deeper and abstract concepts, like, for example, bees live as a kingdom, and in the kingdom the bees work. So we have a mind map of what the bee sound is. So sometimes we don't realize about this, but when you listen the word bee, your mind immediately opened a whole map of concepts that are related to the sound bee. So all of this is what we call an idea. So why maybe, even if we haven't seen any bear anytime eating honey, we can relate a bear with honey and a bee. So why I can have this information? Basically because an idea can be transferred to another one. So we can transfer this idea to another person. The idea can be transferred to another one, to another person, but it doesn't mean that that other person has really consciousness about why that person knows that. Because, for example, maybe you never had the experience of going to the forest and looking into a bear eating honey. You never had that experience, but perhaps you have seen, when you were 8 years old, you have seen Winnie the Pooh. And you have seen a bear eating honey, and so you can relate bears eating honey because of Winnie the Pooh, not because of an actual bear. So here what happened is that every idea is inherent. So I inherit the concepts that some people before me have had experience from. So that's why when we receive the word bee, we take all the data and all the information from the concept of a bee. As a whole package of information. So then we have to make an idea, to have an idea. The verb of having an idea. So what is this? It is to have one concept, one idea, which is be, another concept or idea, which is disease, and someone unites these two concepts and create a third one, a new idea, which is a new map that tells me if I use the honey of the bee in a disease of the throat, I can help someone that has a problem. So that's what we call to have an idea, which is to unify different ideas and concepts to create a new one. Okay? To find a new way, a new form of something. And there we have ideology. So what would be ideology? Ideology would be that I have this idea, many ideas that shape themselves into a bigger idea, a transcendental idea, but suddenly ideology put them all together as a group of ideas that take part of something. So what ideologies are doing? Ideologies are the joint of many concepts and ideas that are useful to make feel safe to a huge group of people. Vamos ahora a entenderlo de esta manera. So let's go now to get it in this way. So here we have different families. Each one of them are individuals. So remember, families, the different families comes from the word fam, that means hunger. So are different groups of individuals that get together because they are hungry. That's a family. Okay. So here, this family get together to work to have food. But there we have another concept, which is little families that don't have as much people as they could to work for. So they get together creating what we call a clan. So this here would be a clan, and this here would be a family. Okay? So for example, here we have 3 families, family, 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 and this would be clans of families. These different families and clans has some things that make them different. For example, we can say that they say the word be in a very different way. So we have this family that says be, this one bis, this one apis, this one abis, this one abella. So we have different ways. It's just an example, but for you to know that some families has different concepts or different ways to calling the same thing. Okay. These people, they live each one with their own ideas, but there's a problem that they don't really understand each other properly. It's like living in Europe. Everyone has its own language, so it's difficult to get along with everyone. So what happened? Eventually, a problem from the outside comes and affects all of them. So they all have to get along, get together, and to know what to do against this problem or with this problem. So what I do is to look for the similar concepts that each one of us share, the similar problems, the similar things that we all share. And what I do is to connect them. And suddenly I get an ideology. Different concepts that unites in order to create a bigger picture, a bigger idea. So maybe they are all different, they speak all the different languages, but this ideology can become a religion. So now all of them, even if they are very different, they share the same religion, which is an ideology, because maybe the need that they all had was to be together in something greater. This is an ideology. An ideology is a conjunction, a joint of different forms all together. So what happened? That throughout story and all the history, the families break, they die, they transform, the different countries shape. So all the things break, but religion keeps the same. The ideology kind of follows. 2,000 years later, we are still connected through this. Why? So the reason why an ideology keeps going on through time is because ideology, a mental map, is the only thing that can't die. It transcends time because all the rest just dies. People die, the conflicts, and there are many things that changed. But the ideologies can become tradition because they say to each other, if we keep with this idea, we will know how to face the next problem. We will know how to face in time the things that we have lived before. So that's why an ideology becomes a tradition, becomes part of the culture. Las ideologías nos dan seguridad a través del tiempo. Ideologies gives us security, makes us feel safe through time. But what happened? Ideologies normally are born to unite people in a certain conflict in a certain time. So if that conflict keeps going on, so the ideology is useful because the conflict is there. But if the environment changes and everything is different from the moment when the ideology was born, the ideology fails. It gets old, it's not useful anymore because we don't have the same problems and the same tools. We have to create a new ideology. So to create a new ideology is to understand the environment that we have today and to create a new idea from that tools and environment that we have today. And the main mistake that we usually do with ideologies is that when we create it, we feel so good with that we believe it will be forever, when it's not. Ideologies are not forever. Ideologies are mental maps that helps us to solve problems with the tools that we have now and conflicts that we have now. They are not forever. This is why most of the ideologies that we have today, they don't work. They are useless because they are very old. They are from other times that are not useful anymore. What we are doing here is basically to create another ideology. We are here doing another ideology. The I am, explaining these concepts that we are sharing. This is all an ideology that eventually, in a few years, will come another one to make another turn, to make a transcendental message from what we are doing now, for sure. So our goal is to let this go and to adapt to the new one. Because we usually say, this is the moment and this is the message, but we always have thought that. This is not the moment, this is not the message. We are just links in the constant of time. So it's never the moment. Because we are constantly doing something. So what we are doing now is something to go beyond into another level, but eventually, when we are ready to leave that level, there will come another one, a new one, and we will have to be ready to let this one go. It's just another step. This is why one of the sentences that I have received from other beings was to transcend from ideology to biology. This is why the sentence of transcending from ideology to biology can be explained with evolution. Like, for example, take the image that every species that exists in the world today is an ideology. Every species of animal, every species of plant, they're ideologies. But none of them were the same from the very beginning of the planet. They all have evolved. They all transformed themselves into something transcendental. So none of them kept the same ideology throughout time. They were adapting to biology. Bio means life. So it's a constant concept of life in which through certain moments we have ideologies. So species are like these ideologies in certain moments of time, that then they change, they evolve into something different. This is why we can have this concept of ideology going into biology. This doesn't mean that ideologies should not exist. This means that ideologies must evolve according to the environment. So I invite you to make this acknowledging of which are your own ideologies, and to pay attention if they are related to another time, if they are useful for as a tools for our times today, or if they are not. So to really understand how to transcend an ideology, we have to go to the very beginning of that ideology, understand it, to understand it perfectly, so we can recognize if it is still really useful as it was at the beginning. Our world today, as you see, is divided in many ideologies. Right, left, and all these kind of things. But the world today is very different. So that's why it doesn't work. That's why any ideology is really working. Because all the ideologies that were born before the 80s, they don't work anymore. We have a world connected in networks today. So they're useless. That's why the world is like this. I invite you all to recognize this. Allow yourself to change your ideologies. You don't have to believe all the time the same. You don't have to prove anybody that you believe your entire life the same thing. Of course, you have to change. It's about evolution. It's about changing your point of view. Maybe you will change your ideology, and it's okay. It's natural. It's good, actually. I had a friend at school that said to me that I was like hypocrite because I was changing some ideas. And I said, yes, of course. This is all about. It's about change. If I would think the same thing all my life, that would be so boring. So it's important to change. It's important to adapt to other things, because today we are in this world like all the time judging others if they believe, or if they are of this thought, or if you don't approve this this belief, you immediately are categorized as from another point of view, another belief, and these kind of things that creates much more ideologies and division in us than ever before. So just stop that and just think by yourself, not thinking in any other belief, in any other ideology. Just flow in the ideologies and be yourself. Don't try to be like the others expect for you to be. So it doesn't matter which ideology you really have. So as I said right now in Spanish, like Groucho Marx said, these are my principles, and if you don't like them, I have others. So yeah. So let's go to the alignment. The vibration for today is Ka. The statement today is, I am mentalism's product.